Sabrina 70s Comic, issue 55. Sabrina asks Hilda if she wants this spot on the beach, and Hilda's okay with it as long as it's private and away from mortals. That'd be a good idea, in-universe, to keep her from using magic in front of mortals. Hilda wants to take a nap. I guess something will go wrong for her right after this for her. Why does she even go to the beach when something goes wrong every time? The supposedly private part of the beach gets interrupted when a guy catching a white football kicks some sand into Sabrina, somehow when his foot clearly landed on the purple mat. Why did Sabrina go to the beach without Harvey? I guess he had a cold, or was busy with his job. She complains that she just put suntan oil on. He just laughs at her, saying that she looks like sandpaper. Huh? So he tells her to go jump in the lake. At least he complimented her appearance, but he's so confusing. Hilda tries to unsuccessfully trick him, saying there's no ball playing allowed, instead of just using magic on him immediately, like I'd expect of her. And he wastes a bunch of time making jokes about her appearance. Hilda wants to zap him into orbit, and Sabrina tries to keep her still. Well, it would be too dark if she succeeded. It's lucky for that guy that Sabrina's sticking up for him after what he did to her, because she's not above getting revenge either. She has to look nice compared to Hilda. Maybe those guys looked back at Hilda and reacted when she threatened to zap him into orbit. But we'll never see that. Then Sabrina gets hit in the head by the ball. And he confuses me some more by joking about it. There's plenty of jerks in real life, so it's not impossible, but it's still jarring how stupid they are. Hilda curses the ball so that it turns into a bee's nest and makes the guys jump into the water. As Sabrina's just looking surprised instead of happy at all for her aunt sticking up for her, when she was the one who was wronged. The comic tries to portray her as completely innocent whenever one of her relatives is there. The guys panic at a giant dragon, and the story ends with Sabrina not wanting to go into the water today. In the next story, Hilda waits in front of a fence outside, saying to Ambrose that she's supposed to meet Sabrina here, and she thinks they're going to some place for dinner. She just thinks that, instead of being sure. He tells her to have fun. Hilda complains that Sabrina's always late, and she's ridiculously paranoid here, asking a guy who just showed up if he's whistling at her. Then she asks him why he's staring at her, when he only started looking at her because she talked to him. He says he's just waiting for someone, and she doesn't believe him. She says she knows his type, and threatens to call the police. This is just frustrating. Then Hilda gets hit by a frisbee, and blames the guy for it. So she throws a pie at him that she had summoned. Then she sees some kids getting their frisbee back. I like that she realized she was wrong about one thing. Whoa, this is Harvey's father? What an awkward first meeting. Why'd that have to happen to Hilda? It turns out they're gonna meet Harvey at the restaurant. I'm kinda glad we didn't see the restaurant dinner, because that'd be awkward. Unless she had the common sense to erase his memory of her bad first meeting with him. Too bad we have to just assume that. Not revealing that makes the ending depressing. It makes sense that Harvey's father has black hair like him, but I expect him to be a tough guy. Not someone like that. That's not bad on its own. In the next story, Harvey's excited by a TV show Hilda's watching. Sabrina's impressed by the driving, and hopes someone's gonna catch some creeps. And Hilda spoils it for him by saying he's gonna go right off the cliff, because she has to do everything wrong. Then the TV show ends on a cliffhanger. Harvey says that's the most action-packed series he's ever seen. I thought he just started watching it as soon as the story started. The two are really excited to catch that show next week, and Hilda says that she was proud of that show herself. Somehow, Sabrina just dismisses it entirely. Hilda's a witch. Of course she made the show herself. It's such a cool use of her powers. Of course a witch could create a fake show. So Harvey and Sabrina can't find the name of that show in the TV guide. Hilda tells Sabrina she didn't even bother to give the show a name. Why does Sabrina scream at this? Hilda says that she only ever watches the kinds of shows that she thinks up, because she can't stand the dumb TV shows networks put on TV. Which makes sense for an old-fashioned witch like her. Sabrina begs Hilda to wind up the story a second time because she can't have Harvey thinking there's something different about them. Aside from Hilda's costume, Sabrina lies to Harvey that the show came from a freak wavelength that only brings a picture into this small area. And because he likes the show, Hilda would rather cancel it. That's a shame, because this was a great way for her to bond with Sabrina and impress her. I'll never know what the writing of her shows is like, so we just have to assume she's a good writer. And that's impressive. The first story is about someone being a jerk to Sabrina and Hilda on the beach a bunch of times, and Hilda punishing him for it with her magic instead of Sabrina. That's the kind of plot that should be a lot shorter. The second story is about Hilda's inexplicably disastrous first meeting with Harvey's father, because she insists that he's whistling at her and starts arguing with him and throws a pie at him. She just gets handed the conflict ball, just for the sake of a depressing plot. I'm glad we didn't have to see the very awkward, intense restaurant dinner then. That was just unfair to them both. The final story is about Hilda impressing me by magically creating a fake TV show that's an exciting action show, which Sabrina and Harvey love. Sabrina has to explain it away to Harvey because he can't find information about it. And sadly, Hilda gets annoyed with the show because Harvey likes it, even though Sabrina does too. We have to assume she's a good writer. But I'm actually glad I didn't have to see a whole bunch of comic space dedicated to her story, because I'd probably just be too bored and uninvested in it to care about it, like Della's bedtime story to Sabrina, because it's not about any of the main characters.